Sunday the 23rd of June, that's today, and this is the start of a video including this car where I try to make it just a bit nicer. So I don't know what the date is where you are, but it's not today. Any car of this age is going to have marks all over the paint, micro scratches, scuffs, dents, and then usually on the roof you'll find scratches where people rather carefully place boxes on there whilst it's dirty and then slide it off. One of the first things that I noticed about this car when I first picked it up was that this rear panel here has been resprayed. Now, though my camera is quite good, it doesn't really pick up what I can quite see, but it is just a bit on the dull side there, and the rest of the finish isn't as nice as, say for example, that there. So, oh, also down here as well, we can see there are quite a few less than really shiny bits and a few abrasive marks from bushes, etc. So I'm going to see if I can make this better. This may well just be one of my leisurely Sunday activities because I don't have a lot of time on a Sunday, and I certainly don't have much now. Maybe about an hour. So an hour, 1 hour, to make that look much nicer. That's the challenge. That should be ready for wax, but you know what? It's not. I can still see a few bits here that I'm not happy with. A few bits of overspray and ever so slightly rough patch just there still. So before I carry on, I'm going to charge up my thingy and then do it again. Wax added, and I think that's a definite improvement. Yeah, that's not right. Problem number one. Let's deal with it. So having taken this panel off, I was expecting it to be really difficult, but actually it just came off quite easily. This is full of something really sticky in there. So it's not really moving as it should do. So I've got to try and remove it and replace it with this one, which is a new one. I didn't show you, by pulling from the back with this thing, I've hiked it out. New switch fitted, and should be all okay now. Now what's going on? That's a new switch. Why is it doing that? Rightio, I think it's all working now. It seems to be reliably going on and off. I think the connections in the plug were covered in gunky stuff, so even by replacing the switch, it still wasn't really working properly. But more squirty old isopropanol, and good. Let's put it back together. Slight problem with the Audi then. That is the hazard lights keep coming on, and that sometimes they come on and they're just solid, so you have to keep switching them off. You're driving along, hazards come on, switch off, come back on, switch off. Go for the indicator, hazards come on, and then indicators don't work at all. So I presumed that it was down to the switch relay thing in the dashboard. I replaced it. It's still doing the same thing. So, you know, I did what you naturally should do and just take it apart, see if I can find anything obviously wrong there, and well, I can't. Back of it's a bit sticky though, but this is the old one. I can just see some of your faces having a right chuckle at this. Buy an Audi, you don't have electrical issues. Well, I'm going to see Senior Mustard, see whether we can figure it out. because it is most likely to be that switch, and the replacement switch I have is a second-hand switch, which is also not really any good. It's a common problem, apparently. The trouble is, it's been intermittent as well with this switch or the old one. It started off with just the hazard lights would come on when you start the car, and then occasionally the hazard lights would just blip on whilst driving, and then that turned into them just coming on whenever they felt like it, and the indicator's not working. So it's not something I can just kind of live with. There are many issues you could have in an old car that you can just, it's just an old car, you just deal with it, you forget about it. But unfortunately, things like indicators not working isn't really one of them. I'm just hoping that it is actually an unfortunate case of two dodgy switches rather than the actual wiring, the plug on there. Because it has occurred to me that what if that plug has got a bit of a loose connection? And it would be tricky because the leads, the cables that go within the dashboard there are actually really short. So there's no room for pulling anything out or mending stuff. Which then would mean, in order to get to it, you have to pull the dashboard out. Oh, yes, that would be fun, wouldn't it? I've got to say, my fear is actually the wiring being on the dash rather than the switch, because the symptoms are exactly the same. They are really inconsistent. I mean, I'm driving it along now, it's fine. It was fine quite a lot yesterday. It was fine a couple of days back, but this morning, it was just doing it too often. OBD reader diagnostics kit thingy didn't find anything wrong anywhere except for the sat nav saying that doesn't work. That didn't really help a great deal. So what do I do now? Drive around hoping it stays working? It gets to the point where the indicators don't want to work at all. I can't even use it. So I do need a solution. Jesus. Yeah. Now back to the Audi. I'm awaiting a switch which will be possibly the fix to these hazard lights having a mind of their own. And that is because the switch I will be getting will be a new one. The one that was currently in the car was actually the original one that went wrong, but was hung on to. Switch is fitted and all put back together again. I put all the interior trim back together because I thought if that doesn't work, then that's not what the problem is, then I've got to look elsewhere. Anyway, put it all in when locked up, got back to the car, put the key in the ignition, hazard lights flashed. But it hasn't done anything odd from home all the way to Gordon Rig, so maybe it'll be okay. Well, looks like it could be good news. I went to Todmorden yesterday, which isn't very far away. The first turn of the key with a new switch on set the hazards off, as you've just seen. But it did it once more after that, and it's not done it since. I've been to work and back, I've been to the shop, and everything seems to be fine. Can I now trust Alexander the Audi will actually do its job properly without any issue? I feel like I can. I feel like that has actually fixed it, just having the unfortunate two switch problem. Now I was told that you can have a problem with the CPM, not CPM, not the, or the BCM underneath the floor. But it doesn't appear to be damp anywhere, so that seems a bit unlikely. I tell you what's really weird though, is that I keep forgetting that this is an Audi. No, I don't think it's a Rover. I keep thinking I'm in a Saab. Whilst I'm just driving along and my mind's wandering off onto other things, I'm in a Saab 9.5. And many people would probably prefer it if I did have a Saab 9.5. And maybe the reason I'm thinking this is because it does feel and remind me somewhat of the Saab 9.5 diesel that I used to have that regretted selling, because I just really liked it. I got along with it. I never got bored with it. But I sold it because, you know, money. Sold it, I exchanged it for some money, and then kind of regretted it because it felt like one of the best cars I'd ever had. And dare I say it, this feels like one of the best cars I've ever had. Now that that problem's sorted out, because I mean it's, you know, it's a bit dangerous, isn't it? If you can't indicate and your hazards are coming in all the time, people were flashing at me. People were going to get annoyed with me. I had to simply sort it out or not use it. Anyway, the usual thing. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much for liking it. Thank you very much for not pressing on like, but no thank you to those that did. No need for it. Thank you for being a channel member. So, bye-bye, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow.